Well, we are actually, our main development team is actually based in Chengdu. It's a small Chinese city of 15 million people. Most of you might not have heard of it, but it's in the west of China, in the Sichuan province. It's also the place where the giant Panda bear originates from. That is also why we are going with Dr. Panda. We have an international team there. It's 45 people, lots of foreigners, as we call them in China, and lots of Chinese people, of course. And we develop the Dr. Panda kids games there. Well, what are these games? Some of you might have already seen them, but for those of you who have not, we basically focus on young kids, the 3 to 8 year old demographic. We focus on life skills and role playing, so that means that we stay a little bit away from the ABC and the math kind of games, and we focus a little bit more on the role playing, like for example, what is it like to be a cook or a doctor, and they can all experience that. We are available on iOS, Android, and Windows. The first title was launched 2 years ago. Currently we have 14 titles live. We've had over 22 million downloads, and as Moritz said, last week we launched our latest app, Dr. Panda Toy Cars, which is now number 5 overall in the US and number 1 kids app in the US and many other countries. But there's also another side to the story, and that is that you also have quite some challenges to grow in this market, and that's what I want to share with you today. Well, how did we achieve the success? I think we were an outsourcing company before, so we had quite a lot of game development experience, and we went into this market in 2011, so we were not a first mover, but I would say a fast mover. We've always wanted to launch a franchise brand, so we have always launched our titles with Dr. Panda in the title, which would create a lot of recognition among our target audience, especially parents, and we would see that every new app that we would launch would go bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's really helping us to launch a consistent brand. We don't use text or any languages in any of our apps, so it basically means that it is, one, very simplistic, but two, it also scales easily over multiple countries. We have kids in China playing our games, and kids in the Netherlands, and kids in the United States. Well, the life skills approach, in our case, has worked. Parents, they recognize us for it, and I think it has given us a chance to differentiate a little bit. And the mix between East and West, well, it's a little bit from the production side. I think being an operator in China allows you to move fast. If I say now we go right, then everybody goes right. And in a country like the Netherlands, where everybody has his own opinion, it somehow can be quite tough. So I think it's good to work with Western creativity and Asian flexibility and speed. So I think that has also helped us a lot. Our revenues, is to make you understand, Apple is still by far the biggest for us in the space, doing 64% of our revenues. Google Play 18 and Amazon 18, so they are quite equal. Most of it comes from Europe, 51%, but as a single country, the USA with 26% is the biggest. Asia, we are pretty much focused on China now, because especially China is growing for us, and it was 5%, now it's 10%, so it's growing. And the UK, Canada, and Australia are 13%. Now I go to the challenges, because we are now at a point where you want to keep on growing, and then you will meet some challenges, which I'm now going to go into. First of all, the competition. At this moment, there are almost 1.2 million apps live on the Appstore, and you must imagine that every day, and especially every Thursday, new apps, new games are launched, and it's pretty hard to keep your head above water with so many apps. Especially if you look at the competition. At this moment, in the top 50 of the US kids space, half of the apps they belong actually to major IP groups like like Disney, Nickelodeon, PBS Kids. This makes it harder, but you also have a lot of, that's me and Moritz we have talked about, a lot of smaller developers that can easily enter this market, and they keep on launching apps, and they also get features from time to time. So it's really getting busy. That's one challenge. The cycle is another one. As you can see, this is a ranking. Dr. Panda Restaurant 2 had a very successful launch, and is still successful, but the week after launch, that's where it really happens, and it will generally have the same volume of downloads as the next whole month. So that first week is very important, and then you will see that it levels off a little bit. That's also, for example, when the features stop after a week, and generally most of our fans, they download the first week, then it levels a little bit off. It still maintains, but at a certain moment, yeah, in our case, you want to keep those brands up there all the time, and you have to ask yourself, how can I do that? Another challenge that we have is the diminishing returns. We see growth in our revenues, but we see the average revenue per app, the more we launch, is a little bit the same, or even a little bit decreasing, and that is because our users will, for example, only buy 4 or 5 apps, but if we launch more and more apps, your average revenue decreases. This is a totally other kind of thing, but what is also a little bit harder in this kind of market is we go really with a character because we like it, and it also bonds kids, but building a story around a character from a game, not coming from animation, is a challenge in itself. And the last challenge that I will speak today is the free and freemium. This is obviously something that we spend a great deal of time talking about. All our apps are basically paid apps at this moment, but you obviously have a lot of free and freemium apps out there, and that is, for developers like us, a threat, so to speak, or an opportunity, depends how you look at it. You of course also have completely free apps like Lego. They are now more and more launching completely free apps, so there are some threats also in that, and as you can see, especially in a country like China, it is only about freemium. If you go on the local Android store in China, the Google Play doesn't sell in China, so you have to go to 360, which is the biggest app store in China, and there's a lot of money to be made there. They do not even offer paid apps. So it's only freemium or free, and so you have to somehow tweak your business model in order to go on the Chinese Android market, but for many other countries it's interesting as well. So yeah, I mean, I don't have the answers to this. I mean, I think experimentation is important, and we are now in a position that we can do that, and we can try different things. So exploring different revenue models is something that we're gonna do. Asia lends itself interestingly for it. I believe there are some other speakers later that are very experienced with the freemium model, but it is something that we are gonna do. Also put out more free titles in order to get a lot of users and then convert them to your paid titles. That works well as well. We're gonna give our characters more background stories, and also use multiple channels to strengthen the brand. That could also mean YouTube and also social media in order to create a story behind your character. We're also going to launch games. Dr. Panda is basically a family group of characters. We're also going to launch games that have different characters as the main label. Well, obviously, we're investing a lot in creating innovative apps, more creativity and design power. So that is a big focus at this moment, and is of course in the end probably the most important thing to keep on doing that. Paid acquisition is an interesting one in our space. It's something that we are experimenting a lot. It's not the easiest if you have paid apps. We have some recent successes with it, but it is important in order for your paid acquisition, in order to make your revenue back of your cost of install, and we are now very much working on analytics and really be able to track that and to play more with that. And Well, the last one is actually something that I don't have an answer for, but I'm sometimes wondering how can we connect these games? So how can I, for example, if people buy 3 Dr. Panda games, can I give them something so they get a discount on the 4th, or we can sell packages of games where you say if you buy 10 Dr. Panda games, you get them for the price of 8, or these kind of things. It's also something that we have to think about. Yeah, this was it. I hope it was informative for you guys, and if you have any questions, let me know.